Hi guys, I am back, and as promised, I'm going to talk to you guys today about just a couple of things that I would recommend if you have the money for. I'm assuming when you watch this, you'll get to know about some products that I have and whether they will be of use or of value to you. And I just want to go over some tips and tricks, I guess. And a lot of you guys were really keen on this video, so I thought I'd get into it. First off, this may be in black and white because I have no makeup on, and I don't think that there's a need to put on makeup to do a video for you guys. I think that we're all pretty casual here, and I hope you guys are okay with that. I'm sure you're fine. Anyway, so as you can see, I'm looking a little bit bleh at the moment. Actually, you can see my softbox reflection there. I wouldn't normally film from here, but I guess let's talk about lighting first, since you're looking at me. So let's talk about 3-point lighting first, because I think it's quite important. So the main way you light a subject, so this is just a subject in an interview or like right now for like a YouTube video, like a sit down YouTube video, you would use the 3-point lighting setup, and that includes a key light, a fill light, and a hair light. A key light is the main light source. I like to think of it like that. The fill light fills the other side. So see right now you can only see half of my face is illuminated. And you would use another light source. So say this is my fill light to fill the other side. Hopefully this works, the battery in there. Yeah, there we go. Oh, I've got that really warm at the moment. So I haven't really played around with this. And my table's like right in the way. So I'm not really sitting at the right place where I could light myself properly. And then what a hair light is a light that's kind of behind you, that would be up higher and places, let me just slow this down, places some lighting. I'm not doing the best example because I haven't got enough room to move around here, but places, you know, light on your hairline to separate you from the background. So see how I'm very much separated from the background now, and it gives it more of a film feeling. So I only got 2 lights on right now, so that's why it's not all working out. It depends on what you like. That's the main setup that you need to know about when, I'm going to turn that off because it's blinding me, when you go to think about what you want to do, if you want to do sit down videos and your setup in your room or your filming space. All of that aside, I'll get into lights in a second, but all of that aside, that's how you would professionally shoot. I'm one of those people who believe you need to know the rules to break them. So now you know 3-point lighting, quite easy. I think that if you have a natural light, so if you have a huge window in your office space or wherever you want to film, that is 100% better than any artificial light's going to give you, any LED light or globe is going to give you. So I think lighting, as much as it's very important, it's also quite cheap. You just gotta, pick your right timing. You can't do it at night if you're going to use natural lighting. And yeah, I just feel like it is such an easy thing to work around, and that's what you're going to discover in this video is you don't have to have expensive gear to do everything you want to do. You just need to be smart about how you do it. So I would highly recommend shooting in morning light outside of a window, not direct light. When I say morning light, like it's the golden hour, or do people call it the golden hour? I don't know. It's like 7 p.m. or like just in the morning when that light is kind of like diffused and coming in sideways, because obviously we don't want the shadows coming down from over the top, which is why it's so important. Another tip, it's so important to turn off your overhead lighting when you have other lighting systems going. So if you're going to use artificial light, make sure you don't mix your lighting, especially your lighting colors. So say I showed you, this was, I'm going to point it at you, this was is really warm. I can actually change that. I've just got it on I was like mucking around with it. So that's like more cool, and then there's like neutral. So make sure, number one, your lighting, if you're going to use artificial lights, make sure that your lighting matches, because otherwise it will just mess around with the camera and will just like give you a hard time while you're trying to grade it. But also make sure any overhead lighting is off. So I have a big light up here and it's very warm, and it's just my ceiling light. It's on a ceiling fan. So make sure that's off, because if you feel like something's not quite right, it could be your artificial light mixing with each other and it's just giving you a bad result. But as I was saying before, my natural lighting is always key. And when I started, I didn't have any lights for a very long time. And I don't believe you really do need lighting. You just need to be particular about where you're shooting and what time. So you can definitely shoot off your phone if it's in the morning and you find a nice space in front of a nice natural light window. 100%. So many people do it and you probably wouldn't even realize how good a quality people can get from their phones. So highly recommend that. But if you're looking to invest in lighting, I bought my ring light because when people on YouTube talk about their lighting, they usually talk about ring lights and they're set up with their ring lights. And I feel like I used that for years and years and years. I only just stopped using it because it just doesn't give the look that I want. And there's nothing wrong with a ring light, but I felt like it wasn't lighting me in the way that was flattering to my camera that I use, which this is my camera, my good camera. This is my Sony 7S II. And yes, I love this camera. It's a very expensive camera, but I really love it. And I'm also very lucky because what I do outside of YouTube, this is a tax write-off for that, and it's a tax write-off for YouTube, but totally love that camera. But I don't think that a camera can make your footage. I think if you work around it, you can definitely make your footage shine. Just having a nice camera makes it easier. But I totally think that you're 100% capable of starting YouTube today if you've been thinking about it, just using your phone and a window, 100%. Sorry guys, I totally went off on a tangent there. But I have been using this camera for years, the camera that you're on right now, which is a Sony MX3. I'll correct myself if that's not right, down there. And this is like a little tiny vlogging camera. You probably won't believe how it's smaller than my phone. Like not thin, but it's quite small. And I feel like that works really well with natural light. So if you have a camera or a phone, and you just got to try it out and watch the footage back and see how noisy it is. But and when I say noisy, that means the grain that's in the shot. But when I first got my ring light, I was really impressed with just having a light I could just turn on, and I just used that one light source. So I could film in the middle of the night and have that one light source. The thing is, filming horror videos, it's pretty easy because lighting, people are used to dark and dingy horror movies, you know what I mean? So it's fun to play around with that kind of stuff, and if that's what you want to do, totally do that. But I myself probably wouldn't recommend having a ring light. I don't think it was a bad choice, and I mean, I used it for 4 years or something like that, so I think it was a fine investment. It was about $150, but having softboxes is so much more versatile for me and for what I want to do. By the way, my ring light was a newer ring light. That's like the brand. I just grabbed some softboxes off Amazon. I think it was like $100 for 2, and they come with stand. If you're going to pay that much, don't expect quality, but it does the job. And yeah, I'm super impressed with them. And if I had to recommend anything that you would buy if you're going to invest and you only had a little bit of money, I would definitely say a softbox. But this brings me to this one, and this light is not mine, it is borrowed from my office. This is like a little video light. I'm not sure exactly what this one's called. I'll put the brand and everything down here. But this one is cool because it's quite versatile. Ooh. It comes with this kind of connector that allows me to use it at all different angles, and obviously, as you saw before, I can change the temperature. Unfortunately, with these guys, I don't have a connector to connector straight to the power, so I just have to use the battery, and the battery goes dead all the time. But I have been using this lately for my new setup, which is just a softbox, and this guy. This is kind of like my fill light, that's my key light, or vice versa, depending on how you look at it. Where I'm sitting, they're quite close to me. Usually it depends what's a key light and what's a fill light, depending on how far away they are, but I'm just using 2 lights to kind of bounce just the right amount that I like off me. I would love in the future to get something to do kind of like a hair light, but more to bounce off the wall behind me to make that separation. I would love to look into LED, RGB, that's the right one, RGB lighting to give it kind of like a neon cool look. But I worry it looks too much like, have you guys seen Philip DeFranco? His videos, I don't like that kind of look. It feels like very much like bachelor pad to me, and I'm just not a fan of anything that looks too polished in a non-organic way. I know that probably makes no sense to you, but I don't really like that look a lot. I don't like it just doesn't suit me, is all I'm trying to say. So I'm trying to make it look kind of cozy and a little bit more like up the quality with just things I have. So this is like a pretty easy setup and like a great kit to start. It's definitely use natural lighting if you can. It's 100% better. The reason I don't use natural lighting, by the way, I only have one light up here and it's a window and it's like a sky. It's like not a skylight, but it's halfway up my wall. If I had a huge window here, it would be a completely different story, and that's what I would use, and that's what I used to use. Natural lighting is the best, I'm telling you. Anyway, so with that being said, that's kind of lighting, and that's definitely the tips I'd have. I'm gonna link a couple of lighting videos down below that might inspire you to kind of change things up and see what you want to do. But having two lights kind of directed at you and having a hair light is pretty much all you need. And sometimes you don't even need that. All you really need is a good time of day, a nice bright window, and all of your overhead lighting turned off, and you'll look fantastic. Some of my videos when I started using this camera upstairs, I started using it for, what was the Name That Film videos. I don't believe I had any other lighting. It was just natural lighting and this, and the way it was angled. So those videos look different with the lighting because of my my f-stop that I put manually on my camera, but also because of the angle that the camera was facing. So if the light was coming from this way, I'm sitting on my couch here, the light's coming this way, it wasn't hitting my face at an appropriate angle. So if I moved, you know, swiveled a little bit towards the light and put the camera in front of there, then I was getting more, you know, you guys know what I mean. You understand what I mean, I'm sure. Let's move on to some cheap gadgets. I'll start with the one that I recommend the most. This has been, I know this is so stupid, but this is like a tiny little tripod. It's actually meant to be just a iPhone tripod. I got this from a store, but I believe you can buy these online. I will put this brand in because it's really good. Pretty much the best thing about this is it's just like a loose ball head, but it can go in sideways, which is amazing. I'll tell you why in a sec, but to just tighten it, you just tighten this bit and then it's kind of stuck like that. But this is like a really good tabletop tripod, and what is great about it is it comes with one of these attachments, which is for your phone. So I use this when I do Instagram lives. So I just put this guy in, and then as I showed you before, you can just chuck them to the side, and then you've got like you can put your phone on there vertically. So it's cool that you have the option, but as I just showed you then, you can unscrew this and then you can screw different things in. So I could screw my camera into this. I usually screw this one into this, and I can also screw my webcam. And if you watched my live on last weekend, for you guys now, I use this. This was like where I put my webcam in and we were moving it around the table and sitting it on stuff. So one of these, the best thing about it, it's like $10 and I found it so helpful. Just getting those little shots, just moving things around. This thing, I just love it. Dean uses it actually as well when he puts vinyls, like playing a vinyl on his Instagram. He'll like put this down and record it. I can't believe how much use I got out of this. And then a little trick for you, which I didn't realize until the last day of 12 Days of Christmas. I don't know if you guys heard, but Dean got some hate comments for breathing too hard into the camera. If you guys didn't watch my 12 Days of Christmas series, Dean, you know, gives me a DVD every day. I open it and he like films me. But he was having so much problem holding this camera and not putting his finger over the mic. So on the last day, I finally thought, oh, you know what's going to be a perfect holder? I do have another tripod I want to show you, but this was actually the perfect holder because it could hold it still. He wasn't touching anything and it was just so much more stable. So this is a good like stabilizer if you're out vlogging in person. This is perfect. If I do some more like come with me styles that I know I'm going to film stuff in the cinema, I'll definitely take this with me because it's so handy. You could just like put this down, prop it up, get it to the angle that you want it to be at and film. Like this, I love this. This is 10 out of 10 and it's like $10. I'll put the brand down below, but highly recommend that one. The next thing I want to talk to you guys about is when you get like these kind of cheap lights, you will find that they just have a screw top, but they all have just like this basic cheap kind of screw at the top. I invested in one of these and this is Newer again. Newer is like, I have so many things in a Newer brand. and I think they're just quite an affordable brand. So this is really cool because this is, as I showed you before, like a ball top, what do you call it? Ball top attachment. So it's like very flexible, and again, can go to the side. I wanted to get this when I have a new tripod that I bought last year. It's like a monopod. It's what you're standing on. It's quite expensive, so I'm not even going to bother talking about it because it's more for Instagram for me. It's also because I have a monopod just handy because my house is so small, so I need to fit into small spaces, so I use a lot for filming. Anyway, so this guy's good because this guy can just screw on the top. I mean, it looks kind of silly, but it can screw on the top of this guy, and it just turns what was just a straightforward angle that you couldn't really do anything with. If you wanted to use this as a tripod or anything like that, you can use this all over. You can, you know, bend and snap. And has a nice little, what do you call it, level. Yeah, so I think I got this for like 23 bucks off Amazon, and yeah, highly recommend if you want something that's gonna transform cheaper tripods you already have into something else that you want. So I could, yeah, attach a lot of different things to that without having to buy a whole new piece of plastic. Speaking of tripods, this is the last one I want to show you. This is a Joby. I believe it's just like a Gorilla Pod, but I don't think it's the same brand. I think Gorilla Pod is the brand. Anyway, same thing, can go to the side. I'm not a fan of these ones, and that's kind of why I wanted to include this, because just like the ring light, this is something that people seem to think is necessary when you start YouTube, and I totally don't agree with this one. But this could just be me, because I find it so hard to get it even, like when it's standing and you're just like, if you're at the set and you're just kind of like trying to like, you know, make it into something. And I'm sure this would work more if I was more like adventurous and like I could strap it around a tree and stuff like that. So I guess if you're gonna do some like crazy ass angles, but for me, I just want something that's easy, and this just actually really annoys me. Like I'm just sitting here like, argh! So I took this when I went away, when I went to Scandinavia, and I didn't use it once. Oh no, I did use it once. You know what? I used it in this amazing photo, and I'll put the photo in here of me like in this window of this, like, it was outside of Malmo in Sweden. And I took that photo using my app, which I'll get to, of me like drinking a cup of tea. Oh, that was so funny. And that's the only time I've used this and like actually liked it, because I could angle it from the garden. But it's so small that, is it really worth having all this angle if it's still going to be so low? So yeah, for me, this ain't it, bish. This ain't it. So let's talk about the app then, since I just brought it up. You do have a DSLR that you're using for YouTube. Sometimes they don't have a flip around screen. I'm really lucky with this one. That's what I love about this one. It has a flip around screen, but this one only goes, what do you call that? Like, I don't know what the angle is, but only does this. So I can't see myself. And this is where like the advanced selfies come in, which are like the photos you take of yourself. I have a couple of apps that connect with this camera. I have spoken about this kind of before, but I have the one I have, this is a Sony, so I have Camrote, and also I have Image, I forget what it's called. It's like Imaging Edge. And these are both applications that I can see exactly what I'm doing on my camera via my phone. I can adjust my f-stop, my speed, all that kind of stuff, and start recording or take a photo and do exactly what I want to do. So when I film, I usually have, and I'll show you my setup probably right now. There's Grommy. He won't leave my side, I swear. So this is my setup right now. As I've shown in my last couple of videos, I have been in front of this gal. People really like having a backdrop, I've noticed. So it's actually quite warm. I've changed one of my lights to being warm. So let's go through this. Usually you'd have like a 3-point light system. I would have a hair light kind of behind me, separating me from the background, but I don't really have the room nor the light. Right now I only have 2 lights in this room. This light, which I would have spoken to you about, the small one, and my softbox. So I have, as you guys probably know, I have one window in the corner and you just don't get any natural light. So that's why I don't use a natural light setup. But pretty much I have everything set up on my phone, and I'm just going back and forth playing with my my manual settings on my phone to make sure that my lights kind of match where I want to be, and like my f-stop and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I kind of just set it up like this, and then from here I plug in my mic into my camera right in front of me, and then I'll just like clip it on my shirt, and then I'm good to go, and I have my laptop off to the side, and sweet. So as you can see, I look at this feedback while I'm filming just to see it's still recording, number one, and that everything looks all right. So I think that's really important, and that's something cool that you can get for free, as long as you have like a camera that will work with it. Obviously, if you're using your phone to film, you don't have to worry about that anyway, but yeah, it's just something that I wanted to add. Highly recommend those things, because that's how I get all those cool shots, like I was saying with that shot in Sweden. That was my phone, and so what I'm doing is I'm taking the photo, I have like a 2-second timer, throwing it on the bed across the room, and then like posing, and that's how I do all like my selfies on my Instagram. So remote triggers, that's what they're called. Awesome. And if you're going to invest in a new camera, I guess this is where my tip comes. If you're going to invest in a new camera, make sure it has Wi-Fi capabilities, because then you can use a remote trigger, and I love it. I actually like it more than using like a flip around screen. Okay, let's talk about, I mean, I pulled out my webcam before. Would I recommend you getting a webcam? Probably not. I haven't used this webcam a lot. If you guys have saw my stream on the weekend, I have technical difficulties right now with my computer. I need a new computer so bad. It's like fried, so much that my webcam just sometimes just turns off, so it's good to have an external webcam. But I thought when I started streaming that I was going to need something like this, but to be honest, I probably wouldn't recommend it if you already have a phone that you can do streaming off, or if you have a webcam like in your Mac or your PC. Just go with that, because sometimes it is about the lighting with those kind of situations. Just make sure you're in front, like you would when you film. Make sure you're in front of a nice bright window. I think that makes all the difference, because a lot of people look at their webcam like it's crap quality, but you forget that when people actually do these amazing streams, they have like a really crazy setup with green screen behind them and all the lighting's correct. So it's not always just the quality of the camera. I'm glad I have this at the moment, because my camera's just completely off, but that's something that I wouldn't recommend. So I'm trying to tell you guys stuff that I would recommend and that I wouldn't recommend, just because it gets very confusing when you go online and you look up, you know, lighting recommendations or best lights for low budget. You come up with so many different options, and you're like, yeah, that's for me, and this is what trap I fall down all the time. You think that something's for you just because it's for someone else, but usually it doesn't fit exactly what you want to do. Okay, the second last thing I want to talk to you guys about is this mess. I have a cheap ass lapel. Oh my god, sorry, it's tangled up with my earphones. This is killing you guys. Oh, that's also something I have. I just have these are Dean's like gamer headphones that he uses on his PlayStation, and I just steal this when I do a live stream, because it goes straight to my ear. I know I'm not getting feedback, and I like the mic down here, but you can also do them with Apple earphones, the exact same purpose. And I once did a podcast with somebody, and afterwards they said, wow, your mic came through, like your audio came through crystal clear, like what do you use? I'm like, Apple headphones. So I think that's important. Yeah, if you're sitting down and you're not doing much and you're recording, even if you're recording audio like a voiceover, Apple earphones are a great substitute, a cheap substitute. So this is my lapel. This is a Boya. I got this for like $23 again off Amazon, and it has capabilities for smartphones, so you could use this if you wanted to on your iPhone. You obviously have to get a different jack. I love this. It's so easy. A lot of people don't like having cords everywhere, but I don't mind, because I don't know why, I'm just like not with the syncing game. I used to sync. If you use I'll back up. If you use an external microphone, something that you're recording externally, obviously you have to clap and you have to sync up the audio with the visuals afterwards. And I did that so much when I was working on this one job, and I just hated it. I don't know why. It's just like one extra step that really bothered me. It's so stupid. Anyway, so I like this because I can plug this in directly to my camera, and there's no reason I shouldn't if I'm doing sit down video. I would love one day to get like a boom with my mic here, but until then, just clip on, plug in, make sure it's turned on, check your audio levels. I've been stung before, and yeah, go for it. And I find that this works a treat, and I've obviously noticed a huge improvement in my audio, and for like 23 bucks, definitely worth it. I know this is probably killing some of you guys. I'm not taking better care of it. That's my life. And the last thing I want to talk to you about is something that's completely free, which is using Google Docs. And I know this sounds so stupid, but if you are doing any scripting for your videos, I used to do scripting on like I don't even know what it's called. There's like a free like Word kind of document situation on Macs, and I used to use that and do all my scripting out on that. But I use Google Docs for everything. Including when we plan for Does This Offend You, Vicky and I use it because we can like both, you know, go back and forth and add stuff in live. But Google Docs is amazing because if I'm writing, and I know everyone doesn't have this privilege, but if I'm writing a part of my script when I'm out or like on my phone or when I'm at work, I can come back and what Google does is it saves every single keystroke, so you're never going to lose your work. So it's always like on your Google, you know, what do you call it, Google Drive. So that's a free way that you can always stay organized and don't have to worry about, oh shit, I left that at work, oh shit, I have 10 minutes here before while I'm waiting for my bus, I should just like be writing a script, writing down ideas. I highly recommend downloading the Google Drive on your phone and just, you know, making sure your Google account is all set up and ready to go and organized. It's made my life so much easier being able to just like pick up and start off just where I left. And I'd highly recommend that for organization of your YouTube. As for like organization of how I actually organize what I'm doing on my channel, my schedule, I still use, and I don't know if this is a thing anymore, years and years and years ago, I wanted to find a year planner that went down by the days every month. You know, and visually people just work differently with organizing. And I found one. It was like an application that you could buy, and it's called Half Year Planner. I don't know if it's still on there because it doesn't do any updates yet. I think they've kind of like deserted it and it crashes all the time. So I probably wouldn't recommend it. But it goes through every month and tells, and what I do is I write down what I want to do, but the best capability it has, hopefully you can't see exactly what I've written, the best capability it has is that I can drag and drop things. So I can be like, oh, I don't want to do it on that date, actually let's do that video on that date. So I can sit there, have everything I want, and then drag and drop. And if something changes, like a movie is being released a week earlier or a week later than I thought, then I can pick that up and drag and drop it. So I love that, and that's kind of how I organize my channel. Anyway, that was a long video for like all of this little stuff, but I hope you found it interesting. As I said, there'll be some lighting tutorials down below. They can definitely say it better than I can, and they're quite inspiring, so definitely check them out if you want to improve your lighting this year or start YouTube this year. And I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for supporting me. I hope that this was good information. Let me know what you guys want next from me. Happy to go back to reviewing movies, but happy to give you guys what I know and help you out there. And I love you guys so much, and I'll talk to you very soon. Stay spooky. Bye.